On behalf of the Office of International Education, welcome to Georgia Tech. Thank you for taking the opportunity to view this tutorial. The purpose of this tutorial is to provide you with the information that will enable you to succeed as an F1 student during your time at Georgia Tech. After you complete the presentation, you will be required to take a short assessment to ensure that you understand the information presented in this tutorial. International Student and Scholar Services, or ISSS, is a division of the Office of International Education. Our mission is to serve as a resource, advocate, and expert for the large and diverse population of international students and scholars at Georgia Tech. We strive to create an environment where international students and scholars are able to make a well-integrated transition to Georgia Tech through diverse cultural, educational, and leadership opportunities. Our goal is to be the model in building and maintaining an international community in a campus environment with the aim to create lifelong global leaders. With the exception of university holidays, OIE is open Monday through Friday between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., and international student and scholar advisors are available by email and phone during those same hours. Advisors usually respond to emails within 24 to 48 hours. You can email info@oie.gatech.edu at any time with immigration-related questions. The advisor also hold walk-in hours Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Walk-ins are for routine immigration questions for a maximum of 10 minutes. Students who would like to speak with an advisor for more than 10 minutes should make an appointment with an advisor. Appointments are made through the OIE website by going to F-Students and clicking on the Advising tab. Before coming to walk-in hours or making an appointment, it is highly recommended that students visit and research the tabs on the OIE website, as most policies and procedures are available online. istart is the software application OIE uses to maintain an electronic file for each student and allow for a more paperless office. It also enables OIE to update student records in SEVIS, the government database that manages all international students in the U.S. Lastly, istart helps the OIE efficiently manage requests by international students, GT faculty, and administrators. International students will become familiar with istart during the I-20 request and check-in process. However, students will continue to use istart during their time at Georgia Tech in order to submit requests and make updates to their I-20. During your time at Georgia Tech, it is important that international students stay connected to the OIE as well as get involved in the larger campus community. International Student and Scholar Services distributes an electronic newsletter called iBuzz to all enrolled international students. All F1 students should read this newsletter as it contains important immigration updates and deadlines. iBuzz also publicizes events and programs of interest to international students sponsored by the OIE, as well as other university and community organizations. ISSS also has a Twitter account where you can find information about deadlines as well as daily updates on events around campus and in Atlanta. International students can get involved by participating in OIE programs such as monthly international coffee hours, fall and spring break trips, International Education Week, the Professional Development Series, student organizations, and much, much more. To learn more about these programs, read iBuzz and visit the OIE website. In order to succeed as a Georgia Tech student, it is essential that you succeed as an F1 student. This requires a firm understanding of federal immigration regulations related to the topics listed on this slide. We'll go into more detail with each one. Knowing your immigration documents is an important part of maintaining your F1 status in the U.S. You may already be familiar with the names of the documents and what they look like, but it is also important that you are aware of their significance. The first document is the passport. Your passport should be valid at all times while you are in the United States. If you plan to apply for any future immigration benefit, you should have a passport that is valid for at least 6 months into the future. The I-20 is a 3-page legal immigration document that acts as your certificate of eligibility. This document is issued by OIE within SEVIS, the Student Exchange Visitor Information System. You use this document to get your F1 visa and enter the U.S. Your I-20 contains biographical, institutional, and financial information, and eventually it may contain employment and travel authorizations on the second page. Your SEVIS number is indicated on the top right hand of pages 1 and 2 and starts off with N00. Look closely at the first page of the I-20. It is divided into various sections. Section 1 contains your biographical information. The manner in which your name is written on the I-20 should match the manner in which it is written on your passport. If the naming conventions do not match or you feel like there is an error, come visit an advisor at OIE and we can review the document for accuracy. An advisor will then give you further instructions based upon your case. Please note that only surname/primary name and given name are editable. Preferred name, passport name, and legacy name are not fields for which there needs to be concern. You probably have an I-20 that says either initial status at the school or a transfer pending from an institution. The initial status indicates that you are a new F1 student in the U.S. The transfer pending status indicates that you transferred your F1 SEVIS record from a previous U.S. institution to Georgia Tech. Once OIE registers your SEVIS record with the U.S. government, your status changes from initial or transfer pending to continued attendance I-20. Note, if you are a transfer student, a new I-20 will be created for you that will say continued attendance. This confirms that the transfer was completed and that you are a Georgia Tech student. Section 2 is school information specific to Georgia Tech. Section 3 has program of study information. This includes your program degree level, primary major of study, and end date of your study. Secondary majors and minors are not recorded on your I-20. The I-20 should be accurate and up to date at all times. Therefore, if you change your degree level, primary major, or extend your program of study beyond the time indicated on your current I-20, you will need to make these updates with OIE. How to request these updates will be discussed later in the tutorial. Section 4 has financial information. The information currently listed will be what you showed at the time your I-20 was issued. If you have any changes in GRA or GTA and/or scholarship funding, dependent information, etc., please submit the Financial Statement Update eForm in istart to collect this information. The final sections are for any necessary remarks from the advisor, an initial signature from the advisor, and a place for you to sign at the bottom. You should make sure to sign all I-20s you are issued. Look at the second page of the I-20. The top section of your I-20 will be blank, but if you are given off-campus work authorization in the future, the employment information will be added to this section. We will discuss employment later in this presentation. The bottom part of the second page contains your authorization to travel in and out of the U.S. Before you leave the U.S., please make sure that you have a signature on the second page of your I-20. Once signed, the I-20 is valid for multiple entries for 1 year from the date of the signature. You can request a travel signature in istart by completing the Travel Signature Request eForm. This form should be completed at the time you purchase your plane ticket. It normally takes advisors about 5 business days to process this request and ask you to come in and receive the travel signature. The next document is the F1 visa, located inside your passport. The visa is an entry permit in the U.S. It does not state the period of time in which an F1 student may remain inside the U.S. However, it is important to know the expiration date of your F1 visa. You may enter the U.S. as long as you have not exceeded this expiration date on your visa. It is also important to know the number of entries you are allowed inside the U.S. according to this visa. You will have either S for a single entry or M for a multiple entry visa. The visa may expire while you are inside the United States, but if you travel abroad and your visa has expired, you will be required to obtain a new visa before re-entering the U.S. Be sure to talk this over with an international student advisor to avoid any complications with your travel plans. The I-94 can be in either electronic or paper form depending on when you last traveled abroad. New students will have an electronic I-94. Students who have changed degree levels or who have transferred to Georgia Tech may have a paper I-94 card. Both are acceptable and show your valid entry into the United States. If you have a paper I-94, please be sure to keep it in a safe place. ISSS suggests folding it into your passport. If lost, you might have to pay for a new one. Students with electronic I-94s will be able to access their I-94 at any time, but it is recommended that students print a copy to keep with their passport. The I-94 contains an 11-digit number and some biographical information. It also includes the port of entry, the date you arrived, and an admit until date. All F1 students should have an admit until date of D/S. D/S stands for duration of status. This means that while you are maintaining your F1 status inside the United States, you may remain in the United States. F1 students do not have a specific date by which you need to depart the U.S. as long as you are maintaining status. The I-94 record is also used to record a student's exit outside of the United States. When departing the United States, even for a short trip, students with a paper I-94 will hand in their I-94 at the airport and are reissued an electronic I-94 when re-entering. This is the paper version of the I-94. Immigration regulations require that F1 visa holders make normal progress towards their degree. To be in compliance with this regulation, F1 students are required to be enrolled full-time during each fall and spring term. At Georgia Tech, full-time is considered 12 credit hours. This means that each fall and spring semester, you must be enrolled in at least 12 credit hours, but you may enroll for more. In addition to enrolling in 12 credits, F1 students must also successfully complete 12 credit hours per academic term. Summer is counted as a vacation semester at Georgia Tech. During this time, you can choose to be enrolled full-time, enrolled part-time, or not enroll at all. As long as you enroll for 12 credit hours in the spring before and the fall after the summer term, you may use the summer vacation semester as a semester in which you do not enroll. There are a few exceptions to the full-time requirement of enrolling for 12 credit hours. These exceptions are special requests to OIE via the reduced course load eform. The U.S. government recognizes that there are times in which you will need to drop below the full-time requirement. One reason you can drop below 12 credit hours is in your graduating semester. If it is your final semester at Georgia Tech and you do not need to enroll full-time to meet your degree requirements, then you may be authorized for an academic reduced course load. If you experience medical issues that impair your studies, you may also be eligible for an authorized reduced course load. Evidence from a licensed doctor of the medical issue is required in order for the request to be approved. There are also academic reasons to get a reduced course load. If you were improperly placed into a course by a professor or an academic advisor, it is possible to receive a reduced course load. If you are in your first semester and having difficulties with the reading requirements, the English language, or in understanding the U.S. teaching methods, you could be authorized for less than 12 credit hours. It is important to remember that a reduced course load for an academic reason is only available in a student's first semester. After completing the first semester, it is not possible to get a reduced course load for academic difficulties, even if the student is performing poorly in a course and is in jeopardy of failing the course. In all the aforementioned situations, it is very important that the reduced course load be approved by both the academic advisor or graduate coordinator as well as OIE before dropping below full-time status. Dropping below full-time before being authorized by the OIE can result in the loss of one's F1 status and the student returning to their home country without completing his or her studies. I repeat, you should speak with both your academic advisor or graduate coordinator and the OIE advisor as soon as you consider a reduced course load. Dropping below full-time before being authorized by the OIE can result in the loss of one's F1 status and the student returning to their country without completing his or her studies. As previously stated, an F1 student's ability to succeed in their studies is dependent on his or her ability to maintain F1 status. The reverse is also true, and in fact, academic success and your success as an F1 student go hand in hand. Students who are not successful in their studies and are academically dismissed from the university are in jeopardy of losing their F1 status. If you feel that you are at a risk for academic probation or dismissal, you should speak with an international student and scholar advisor before this occurs to discuss your options. While in the U.S., it is important that you update your information with OIE so that this information can be reported to the government in SEVIS. If you move, you will need to update OIE within 10 days to maintain your F1 status and to prevent a hold from being placed on your student record. The Personal Information Update eform can be found in istart. In addition to your addresses, F1 students are required to inform the OIE of other changes that require an I-20 update. Updates to your I-20 will be done through eforms in istart.gatech.edu. These updates include changes to your program end date, major, degree level, finances, and F2 dependents. Each of these types of updates have a corresponding eform in istart. Some may require secondary approval by your academic advisor or graduate coordinator, as well as proof of funding. The OIE processing time for these forms is 5 business days from the submission of a complete request, including any information needed by your academic advisor or graduate coordinator. During your time in the U.S., you may show interest in working on campus, off campus, or both. In order to maintain your status, it is very important that you receive proper authorization from OIE or USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Even if the position is unpaid, you may need special authorization to ensure that you are complying with immigration regulations and U.S. labor laws. Remember that you are in the U.S. to study, and hence you are on a student visa. While in this F1 status, employment is a benefit, not a right. You will need the proper documentation and authorization before you may begin any employment. For immigration purposes, employment is full-time if it is at least 20 hours per week, and part-time if it is at most 20 hours per week. Once you arrive to campus, you are eligible to begin employment on campus. It is possible that you may have a graduate assistantship, or you are hired by a department in Georgia Tech or an affiliate of Georgia Tech that is located on our campus. This means that you may be eligible to work in the food chains located within the Student Center and the Barnes & Noble bookstore in Tech Square. To work on campus, you will need to have a valid I-20, your other immigration documents, and a Social Security card. To work on campus, you do not need to make an update to your I-20. However, if you do not have a Social Security number, you will need to apply for one. You may begin employment on campus as well as get paid before you apply for the Social Security number, but it is important that you apply within a timely manner. Before going to the Social Security Administration, please request an SSN support letter from the OIE by logging into istart and completing the appropriate on-campus employment eform. Once you have completed 2 academic semesters within your F1 status, you may be eligible to work off-campus. There are 2 types of off-campus employment: curricular practical training and optional practical training. Both require an update to the second page of the I-20. Curricular practical training, commonly referred to as CPT, is the employment authorization that corresponds with enrollment in either an official co-op or internship through the Center for Career Discovery and Development, also known as C2D2. In rare cases, CPT may be authorized for an internship that is required for completion of a major. There are very few majors at Georgia Tech that require an internship. Therefore, most students who are interested in CPT must get the position approved as an official co-op or internship by C2D2. Once that occurs, a C2D2 advisor will make a request on your behalf to OIE, asking to authorize CPT. The undergraduate co-op program is a 3-semester full-time commitment. The undergraduate internship program is more flexible on the time commitment. On the other hand, graduate students can enroll in co-op for 1 or more semesters at both a full-time or part-time basis. Students may participate in as much CPT as they like as long as it is approved by C2D2 and OIE. However, students who are authorized for more than 365 days of full-time CPT are not eligible for the other type of off-campus work authorization called optional practical training, which we will discuss in a moment. Once you have been offered a position and it has been approved by C2D2, OIE will process the CPT request within 5 business days. For details, visit oie.gatech.edu and look for off-campus employment authorizations. The other type of off-campus work authorization for F1 students is optional practical training, commonly known as OPT. All F1 students may be granted 12 months of optional practical training per higher degree level. OIE recommends OPT by making a modification to your I-20, but the work authorization comes from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services and usually takes up to 3 months to require. Therefore, students interested in taking part in OPT must plan ahead. You do not need to have a job offer letter at the time of application to apply. OPT comes in the form of pre-completion, before graduating, or post-completion, after completion of studies. Oftentimes, PhD students will take advantage of pre-completion OPT in order to work full-time off-campus while finishing the last components of their thesis. There is also the 24-month extension of OPT allowed for students in science, technology, engineering, or math majors. Please note, not all majors at Georgia Tech qualify for the STEM extension. For more details, visit the OIE website and review the OPT tutorials. In extremely rare cases, an off-campus work authorization exception called economic hardship may be authorized. This is for students who experience extreme and unavoidable financial hardship. Speak with an international student advisor if you believe this may apply to you. While a student at Georgia Tech, you may plan to travel abroad. If you travel outside the U.S. and plan to re-enter as an F1 student, please ensure you have valid immigration documents, including a travel signature on the second page of your I-20. This travel signature is located in the travel endorsement section and is valid for 1 year while you are an enrolled student. It can be used for multiple entries. Be sure to request the travel signature in istart at the time you make your travel arrangements. In addition, there is an immigration regulation that prohibits F1 visa holders from keeping an active CVIS record after being outside the U.S. for more than 5 months. There are some cases when a student may stay outside the U.S. for more than 5 months and keep an active CVIS record, such as being enrolled in a Georgia Tech study abroad program or research abroad credits. In the future, if you plan to be outside of the U.S. for more than 5 months, please talk to an international student and scholar advisor before departing the U.S. so that the appropriate action can be taken on your CVIS record. Remember, the travel signature goes on the second page of the I-20. You can see here exactly where the International Student and Scholar Advisor, also known as the DSO, will sign. Although you are just beginning your studies at Tech, it is important to think about the options that are available to you after you complete your studies. F1 students have a 60-day grace period that begins once the student completes their program of study. During these 60 days, students have the following options: be admitted and transfer their CVIS record to another school, change degree levels at Georgia Tech, such as a bachelor's to a master's or a master's to a PhD, apply for work authorization, OPT, apply for a change of status, or depart the United States. Here is a reminder of some of the ways you can use istart. In your F1 status, there are a few additional things to consider. All F1 students need to file a tax return for the previous year. This is true even if you do not earn any income for the year. In February, OIE will provide details and assistance in completing your tax returns by the deadline. Also, you are automatically charged health insurance if you're enrolled for credits. Please maintain this health insurance during your entire time as an F1 student. For questions regarding the health insurance plan, please refer to the Stamps Health Center website, as they are the experts in student insurance. It is important that you obey all federal and state laws while an F1 student in the United States in order to maintain good immigration status. Violation of any of these laws could lead to a revocation of your F1 student visa and subsequent termination of your immigration status. Please be aware that as an international student, you may be the target of identity theft or scams. Scams are fraudulent business schemes used to defraud their victims. These scams are becoming more sophisticated, and there have been cases in which students have been called from a phone number from a legitimate government organization, and the person on the phone has detailed information about what the student has done in the past, maybe their passport number or I-94 number, full name, and any other details that a normal person wouldn't have. Please remember, USCIS will never ask for any form of payment or personal information over the phone. This is the same for the IRS. If you receive a call like that, USCIS urges you to say no thank you and hang up immediately. You should then contact the OIE and GT Police to report the scam. In general, we encourage you to protect your personal information, especially your Social Security number, and not to provide details about your immigration applications in any public area. This will help protect you from being the victim of scams and identity thefts. Georgia Tech is a tobacco and smoke-free campus. This policy was established by the Georgia Board of Regents and applies to all university and colleges within the University System of Georgia. This policy has been put into place as the University System of Georgia recognizes the health implications related to tobacco use and feels it's their responsibility to promote the health and well-being of all students, faculty, staff, and visitors. If you have questions about this policy, you can visit the Stamps Health Center. It is also highly advisable that all new international students familiarize themselves with the Institute's Student Code of Conduct. The Student Code of Conduct is maintained by the Office of Student Integrity and includes institutional policies regarding academic and non-academic misconduct. Academic misconduct is any act that does or could improperly distort student academic grades or academic records. These acts include, but are not limited to, unauthorized access, unauthorized collaboration, plagiarism, false claims of performance, grade alteration, deliberate falsification, forgery, distortion, and unauthorized use of intellectual property. Violation of the Student Code of Conduct can prevent a student from continuing their studies at Georgia Tech and consequently their ability to maintain their F1 status. These consequences can apply even if students unknowingly violated the Student Code of Conduct. Ignorance to these policies is not an excuse and may still result in marks against your academic record. For more specific information on Georgia Tech's Student Code of Conduct, please visit the Office of Student Integrity's website, istart.gatech.edu. You should have received communication about Haven and Alcohol EDU from the Office of Health Promotion at Georgia Tech. These programs are required for all students, and you can speak directly with the Office of Health Promotion regarding what is needed to complete these requirements. During the Haven and Alcohol EDU trainings, you will learn more about the possible repercussions of alcohol use. As an international student, there is another important layer of risk. The Department of Homeland Security has indicated that students who are caught driving while intoxicated are subject to possible revocation of their visa. Driving while having alcohol in your body is a serious crime in the United States, and if you are criminally charged, your visa may be taken away and you would need to leave the country. There is an application called LiveSafe that can help you think about campus safety. This app has many useful tools, and OIE suggests you review the app and decide if you would like to keep it on your phone. Please be aware that Georgia passed a law allowing firearms in some open and public places on campus. In the United States, some citizens exercise their right to carry firearms in accordance with local, state, and federal laws. For any of the other things to consider items we have reviewed on the last two slides or anything else in this presentation, you can always contact an International Student and Scholar Advisor, and we will do our best to assist you as appropriate. As an F1 student, it's important to remember the expectations of both you and the university you are attending. As students, you are expected to take responsibility for your academic and immigration status, research and utilize resources available to you, and communicate in a timely manner regarding any necessary changes to your record. You can expect international student and scholar advisors to be knowledgeable about F1 immigration regulations and GT policies, communicate in a timely manner, and process immigration-related requests in istart within 5 business days of their submission. This concludes the How to Succeed as an F1 Student tutorial. Now please follow the link to access the assessment. You will need to get a 90% or above to pass the assessment. Once you have completed the assessment, please log into iStart and complete the How to Succeed as an F1/J1 Student Assessment Results eForm, which can be found under the Program and Events tab. In this form, you will be asked to upload a screenshot of the results page. Good luck in your studies, and OIE would like to thank you again and welcome you to Georgia Tech.